And for more on Apple's earnings, we are now joined by Bert Dohmen, president and founder of Dohmen Capital Research Institute. Bert, thank you for joining us this evening.
So, it's my pleasure, Michelle.
Thank you, Bert. Apple selling 31.2 million iPhones last quarter, up 20% from a year ago. That really helped Apple beat expectations as we saw shares rallying after the close. What do you read into this? Does Apple still have some juice left?
No, Apple has no juice left, and now investors are really betting on hope. Every metric that we see is negative. When you look to buy a stock, you should look for rising revenues. You should look for rising profits. You should look for rising profit margins. With Apple, we have revenues that are now just about the same as a year ago. We have profit margins that are down from 47% to 37% in a little over a year. And then we have profits that are down 25%. That's not the kind of stock that anybody should buy. That's the kind of stock you should sell short.
So, Bert, you're saying short Apple? I mean, the stock has taken a big beating over the last 10 months, down 40% from its September high. You're saying it's time to sell Apple?
Yes, when I was on your program earlier this year, I said Apple would, the Apple price would have a 3 in front of it, and it did. That happened afterwards. It got down to 385. It had a little rally. And Apple, before the end of the year, should hit my next target to the downside, which is based strictly on technical and chart analysis, and that's about $320.
Okay, but is it just reasonable to expect these kind of profits, given that, Apple is no longer a startup type of company? Is it just not territory, given that it's maturing and the market's saturated?
That's a very good point. It's a point I made earlier this year. I said, Apple is no longer a growth stock. Now it's a value stock. So if you want to buy a value stock, you use totally different metrics and price earnings ratios. A value stock right now might be worth 8 or 10 times earnings. Apple right now is selling at about 14.6 times earnings. It's much too expensive for that kind of stock.
Okay, so Bert, what does Apple need to do to innovate over here? Or is it just over now that Steve Jobs is no longer with the company, no longer with us at all? What
look
types
at
of
every
products
product
can Apple generate?
Yeah, Michelle, the thing is that every product that has been released under the new CEO has been a disappointment. Every product. It's just a little bit of modification, a little bit better screen, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Apple has to come up with a brand new product and a product line. Steve Jobs was able to do that. When the iPhone came out, it was the only phone. They really invented a whole new industry, which was a smartphone.
Bert, what about the iPhone, the iWatch rather? We know that Apple has filed a patent for the iWatch. Could this be their saving grace?
I don't think so. I think everybody else is going to get ahead of them. Samsung, Microsoft, and others are working on a similar item, and I bet you they will be to market before Apple does.
Okay, a very gloomy outlook on Apple from Bert Dohmen. Well, thank you so much, Bert.
Yeah, but there's so many other stocks that are much better. So why put your money in a stock that has no place to go, but perhaps going down?
But down. All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Bert Dohmen, president and founder of Dohmen Capital Research Institute.